I have enough. Big brown mule, silver in a hole. When I die, dear Lord in heaven, will you take my soul and leave that cold dark ground? When I die, dear Lord in heaven, please take my soul, leave that cold dark ground. Please take my soul, leave that cold dark ground. Please take my soul, leave that cold dark ground. I just couldn't resist. Never done much of my here on this here podcast live stream. This is me, the one and only Alex Morgan in the flesh. I will be your host this evening. We are broadcasting on YouTube. We're broadcasting on Spreaker. We're broadcasting on iHeartRadio. Soon to be broadcasting on Spotify. We're also on iTunes. Hey, we're growing. We are expanding. And I've got big news to share. Big news of all shapes, sizes, forms. Yay. I know that screen's a little bright out there for any of you who may be watching. But our YouTube page is up 200%. If you can see that graph, it just goes, and we've been higher before. In watch time, we've never been this high in like the rate of views. That's up. Everything's up. I wished you all could see that. Let's see here if I might darken this screen just a hair for y'all. I'm actually using a new app tonight to stream with. I got us a new video camera, believe it or not. Just don't tell nobody. Things is tight around my household right there. If you would like to support this broadcast, these efforts, this great new awakening in which we're all embracing and making happen. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to do what we're doing here. We have we've got new equipment for our video system also. See if this won't help our screen when we use this computer here. It's actually a little bit slow tonight, but not slow as it usually is. I know that much. If it gets too bad, I'll turn that damn live stream off. But yeah, we need all the views that we can get. We need like I was saying on the prior episode, in order for us to get sponsorships and stuff like that, we need between 25,000 and 50,000 views a day. And that's just on our Spreaker podcast. That's not counting YouTube. We need both to succeed. And I mean, what I'm asking, it isn't impossible. Let me tell y'all something. We've got the internet. As long as they're not censoring us like they have been here lately, there's no limits to the things that we can do. Absolutely no limits. And I don't think that extension right there is worth a poot. It's not doing anything. See if this one's any good. I'll delete this one right here. But yeah, we're just totally unscripted, and yeah, if you want to call tonight, you're more than welcome. The number 276-524-0307. Again, that number 276-524-0307. Yeah, we're here to take your calls. It's just taking a little bit longer than I expected. I know, I apologize. But I just wanted to show y'all what we've been doing. And I just think it's amazing. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think it's unbelievable what we've been doing. And I think it's unfathomable what we could do. See if that won't darken it for us. Why no? It did for a second, but that was all. But yeah, anyways, we're doing great. Keep sharing the links. We're not doing. I'll tell you how many views we've got. We've got like 1,100 views, give or take. and we have about 35 subscribers. Can y'all see that? This is from May 9th. We've got 1 view, and we've had 1 view in the last hour. But yeah, right here's what I'm looking at. It's the last few days. I am so proud. But yeah, we've not done as good as we really could have, but we've been doing a lot better. I mean, in any ways that we can improve, that's always great. That's amazing. I'm all about progress. I really am. Can y'all see that? No, can't see that either, can you? But anyways, keep Coco. I got too many dogs, folks. I really do. I've got dogs everywhere. Come in here knocking my tripod around like it's just, whatever. She does it every day anyways. But anyways, we picked up 2 subscribers within the last couple of weeks. But we've had a whole lot of views. I know that much. We've not. I think you have to have like somewhere around 100,000. No, it's 10,000 views, I think, and 10,000 subscribers to have like a custom YouTube link. We've not been able to do that yet. Like I said, we've just got like 1,100 views. But both the Spreaker website, you go to Spreaker.com/user/Big Al Morgan, and that'll take you to the podcast page. We need 25,000 to 50,000 views per day on that. Okay. And for YouTube, we need that times about 3 or 4. So I've got some different things that I'm going to do to help our YouTube page. I got some more stuff I'm going to do, for the podcast too. So yeah, we just I can't sit here and talk about it enough. I love the fact that we're growing every day. I love the fact that we're getting new equipment every day. Just about every day I've woke up here the past couple of days. I've been getting stuff in the mail. But yeah, just keep up the good work. If you'd like to throw me $1 or $2, you can go to patreon.com/Alex Morgan Show. I'll put the all the links in the description below, and please hit that like button, and if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. And I promise you, when things gets better, we're not going to ignore you when you have a problem. We're not going to get too good to help those who have put us into the place that we may someday be in. This is why I started this little operation, okay? Like I've said on every podcast, I don't make no money for this. I actually spend money, and if we could get to where I could make $100 a month profit, or even $1,000 a month profit, I could do a lot with that. Not only could I live a lot better, but I could, you know, I could build the best YouTube channel ever. I don't got no video switcher or nothing like that, and that's some other things that I want to try to do later when we do become more successful. Because listen, I just don't have the money to take, say, $200 and $300 just at any given time and go buy a piece of equipment. Hey, every little thing that you all do, it helps. And I'll just stop right there because I've got a lot to go over. But thanks for all y'all's support. Hey, I love y'all. Keep doing what you're doing. And then tell your friends and your daddies and your aunts and your uncles to do what you're doing. And tell them to share that stuff. And hey, the sky's the limit. Okay? The sky's the limit. I also want to give a little shout out to people who like social media, people who are into Facebook, but they're kind of paranoid about this whole data mining, selling, BS, whatever. Yeah. Go over to gab.ai and sign up for free. If you want to and Gab is another thing that you can make money at. I'm not became a paid member yet, but once you do, it's just like $5.99 a month, I think, and you can make money at Gab by your off of your followers and the people who visit your page and read your post, and they're going to start a live stream thing over there soon. So yeah, check out Gab. It's gab.ai. They were founded on the principle of free speech. What could be better than supporting your amendment rights? I mean, really. Gab, remember them. Yeah. Speaking of Gab, I need to share a link with them. If y'all give me just 1 minute. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I think I'm right over here. Can y'all see that? Yeah, you can see that. Let's get into the
iranian-nuclear-deal.
deal.
Today I want to update the world on our efforts to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. The Iranian regime is the leading state sponsor of terror. It exports dangerous missiles, fuels conflicts across the Middle East, and supports terrorist proxies and militias such as Hezbollah, Hamas, the Taliban, and Al-Qaeda. Over the years, Iran and its proxies have bombed American embassies and military installations, murdered hundreds of American service members, and kidnapped, imprisoned, and tortured American citizens. The Iranian regime has funded its long reign of chaos and terror by plundering the wealth of its own people. No action taken by the regime has been more dangerous than its pursuit of nuclear weapons and the means of delivering them. In 2015, the previous administration joined with other nations in a deal regarding Iran's nuclear program. This agreement was known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA. In theory, the so-called Iran deal was supposed to protect the United States and our allies from the lunacy of an Iranian nuclear bomb, a weapon that will only endanger the survival of the Iranian regime. In fact, the deal allowed Iran to continue enriching uranium and, over time, reach the brink of a nuclear breakout. The deal lifted crippling economic sanctions on Iran in exchange for very weak limits on the regime's nuclear activity and no limits at all on its other malign behavior, including its sinister activities in Syria, Yemen, and other places all around the world. In other words, at the point when the United States had maximum leverage, this disastrous deal gave this regime, and it's a regime of great terror, many billions of dollars, some of it in actual cash. A great embarrassment to me as a citizen and to all citizens of the United States. A constructive deal could easily have been struck at the time, but it wasn't. At the heart of the Iran deal was a giant fiction that a murderous regime desired only a peaceful nuclear energy program. Today, we have definitive proof that this Iranian promise was a lie. Last week, Israel published intelligence documents, long concealed by Iran, conclusively showing the Iranian regime and its history of pursuing nuclear weapons. The fact is, this was a horrible one-sided deal that should have never, ever been made. It didn't bring calm, it didn't bring peace, and it never will. In the years since the deal was reached, Iran's military budget has grown by almost 40%, while its economy is doing very badly. After the sanctions were lifted, the dictatorship used its new funds to build nuclear-capable missiles, support terrorism, and cause havoc throughout the Middle East and beyond. The agreement was so poorly negotiated that even if Iran fully complies, the regime can still be on the verge of a nuclear breakout in just a short period of time. The deal's sunset provisions are totally unacceptable. If I allowed this deal to stand, there would soon be a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. Everyone would want their weapons ready by the time Iran had theirs. Making matters worse, the deal's inspection provisions lack adequate mechanisms to prevent, detect, and punish cheating, and don't even have the unqualified right to inspect many important locations, including military facilities. Not only does the deal fail to halt Iran's nuclear ambitions, but it also fails to address the regime's development of ballistic missiles that could deliver nuclear warheads. Finally, the deal does nothing to constrain Iran's destabilizing activities, including its support for terrorism. Since the agreement, Iran's bloody ambitions have grown only more brazen. In light of these glaring flaws, I announced last October that the Iran deal must either be renegotiated or terminated. 3 months later, on January 12th, I repeated these conditions. I made clear that if the deal could not be fixed, the United States would no longer be a party to the agreement. Over the past few months, we have engaged extensively with our allies and partners around the world, including France, Germany, and the United Kingdom. We have also consulted with our friends from across the Middle East. We are unified in our understanding of the threat and in our conviction that Iran must never acquire a nuclear weapon. After these consultations, it is clear to me that we cannot prevent an Iranian nuclear bomb under the decaying and rotten structure of the current agreement. The Iran deal is defective at its core. If we do nothing, we know exactly what will happen. In just a short period of time, the world's leading state sponsor of terror will be on the cusp of acquiring the world's most dangerous weapons. Therefore, I am announcing today that the United States will withdraw from the Iran-nuclear-deal. In a few moments, I will sign a presidential memorandum to begin reinstating U.S. nuclear sanctions on the Iranian regime. We will be instituting the highest level of economic sanction. Any nation that helps Iran in its quest for nuclear weapons could also be strongly sanctioned by the United States. America will not be held hostage to nuclear blackmail. We will not allow American cities to be threatened with destruction, and we will not allow a regime that chants death to America to gain access to the most deadly weapons on earth. Today's action sends a critical message. The United States no longer makes empty threats. When I make promises, I keep them. In fact, at this very moment, Secretary Pompeo is on his way to North Korea in preparation for my upcoming meeting with Kim Jong-un. Plans are being
made and relationships or something other. Here you see the president signing the memorandum. I want to show y'all one thing. I want you to hear the press in the White House now as he's signing this memorandum. Now check this out.
Mr. President, how does this make America safer?
Mr. President,
How does this make America safer?
how does this make America safe, Mr. President?
Thank you very much. This will make America much safer. Thank you very much. Thank you. Secretary Pompeo is right now going to North Korea. He will be there very shortly in a matter of virtual, probably an hour. He's got meetings set up. We have our meeting scheduled. We have our meeting set. The location is picked, the time and date, everything is picked, and we look forward to having a very great success. We think relationships are building with North Korea. We'll see how it all works out. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But it can be a great thing for North Korea, South Korea, Japan, and the entire world. We hope it all works out. Thank you very much.
Are the Americans being freed?
Are the Americans being freed?
We'll all be finding out. We will soon be finding out. It would be a great thing if they are. We'll soon be finding out. Thank you.
What message does this send to North Korea, Mr. President?
Yeah. That makes me sick. I'm sorry, but it does. It does. Now, okie doke. And go over. Hard work running all this stuff, I'll tell you that much. Mr. President.
We're getting stunning pictures out of Iran. Iranian leaders have been reacting to President Trump's decision to withdraw from the nuclear deal. The country's lawmakers, some of them burning both an American flag along with a copy of the deal. This happened during a session of parliament. And then today they're going to vote on taking reciprocal action against the U.S. The country's supreme leader releasing a statement that included this line. It said Trump's corpse will also be worm food while Iran stands strong. While Iranian President Hassan Rouhani is attempting to moderate Iran's response to Trump's pullout, promising to commit to the agreement still for the time being. Trump asked what he would do if Iran restarted its nuclear program, responded like this.
Iran will find out. They're going to find out. I don't think they should do that. I would advise Iran not to start their nuclear program. I would advise them very strongly. If they do, there will be very severe consequence.
I want to bring in Hillary Leverett, who has quite an impressive resume when it comes to this. You were a former Middle East specialist on the National Security Council. You were the director for Near East Affairs there. You also worked at the State Department. You represented the Bush administration in negotiations with Iran after 9/11. Specifically, we should mention, having to do with gaining some sort of entree into Afghanistan, right? Gaining some sort of knowledge as you look to have a footprint there. Mm-hmm. Do you think the president can bring Iran back to the table, or is this seeding ground to have the Europeans, to have China, to have Russia take over?
There's this misnomer that Iran somehow has to be brought to the table. But in my experience, and I look back through American history with Iran is always willing to go to the table. And we see that with the Europeans, they're always at the table, with the Russians, with the Chinese, even with us after 9/11 and Afghanistan, even in the Reagan administration. You had Reagan administration officials go with a Bible and a cake, the famous Iran-Contra affair. The Iranians are always willing to negotiate. This time, however, it's such a shock that I think they're going to negotiate without us. They'll negotiate with the Europeans, with the Russians, with the Chinese, and we are in danger of ceding our influence in the Middle East to not only a rising Iran, but with Iran's allies, Russia and China.
So what does that look like long term? I mean, what is the risk that the administration is running by ceding that ground?
Long term, I think it's a strategic disaster. It really brings Russia more into the Middle East, where we see Russia making inroads there every single day, first in Syria, and now they'll make much more inroads with Iran. Iran just swept the election, pro-Iranian parties just swept the elections in Lebanon. They're going to sweep elections in Iraq this weekend. So we'll have a rising Iran with influence, even more influence in Lebanon, in Iraq, in Turkey, with a rising Russia and China, sitting at the crossroads of the international oil and gas supply between Asia and Europe. It's a tremendous strategic problem for the...
She just sat there and told you the results of an election that is going to take place next week. This is the world that we're living in, folks. How does this, whoever that she is, she worked with the Bush administration on their foreign policy bull stuff, but hey, she don't know nothing about anything going on today. God, give me a break, man. And they put this stuff out for y'all to listen to it. And listen, whether you like Donald Trump, whether you hate Donald Trump, it don't make no difference, okay? The damn news is supposed to be neutral, okay? When you think of news, you should think of neutrality. You should think of nobody pushing no talking points down your throat all day. You should think of just what happened today. What happened last night? What happened? Who got killed in that shooting right there and that car wreck? Not Donald Trump's whatever, and he paid Stormy Daniels $130,000 for it twice, so he should be impeached. Whatever, man. Speaking of old Stormy, that dried up piece of leather, let me tell you something. That's a porn star. That's somebody who's paid to have sex on films. Really? 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 How come, if she's such a big star, how come I never heard of her, okay? And Donald Trump, a man who could obviously have any woman that he wanted. He could probably have what's her name sitting there on CNN if he wanted her. Let me tell you something. It's all garbage. All of your news agencies, all of your people in like the major media, all of your music stars, they all work for the CIA. All of your actors, the CIA approves all of your movies before they're ever put in theaters. You know, they get the say so on the final editing. And let me tell you something. The CIA, how much money do you think they spend a year on disinformation? Just disinformation. It might be about that much true, but the rest of it is a big flat bull-faced lie. And they pay to have this stuff put out. And let me tell y'all something. Anderson Cooper, he's a direct heir to the Vanderbilt fortune. You know, your J.P. Morgan and your David Rockefellers, and yeah. Do you think that Anderson Cooper needs CNN's money to get up there and tell you a bunch of BS every night? Do you think that he needs CNN's money? Anderson Cooper could buy CNN, people. Come on. Anderson Cooper was recruited out of college, just like all the rest of the CIA agents, okay? Man, give me a break. And poor little old me up here telling y'all all about this stuff, you know. And me would barely have got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, folks. But hey, I'm trying. I got some cameras going on. I keep the lights on, and I keep the damn phones going and the internet are going. So, and I'm putting this stuff out. And all I ask is that y'all share it. If you don't agree to it, if you think I'm some kind of quote trailer park deplorable Trump whatever, just change the channel. Just go on, man. Listen, you on my channel, you in my house. You respect me, okay? Because I ain't gonna come on your channel telling you what kind of dumbass you look like tonight or whatever, man. Okay? This is my house, and people that does that gets booted out of my house. That's all I got to say. Hey, you don't like it? There's about 2 million more channels right there you can watch. You know. But anyway, moving right along.
The United States to cede this much influence to Iran and its allies.
Does it make a more dangerous world for the U.S.?
I think it does, as long as the United States continues to want to have a role in the Middle East. If we pulled out and we just stayed at home, as perhaps President Trump wants us to, maybe we could avoid the danger. But as long as we're out there in the Middle East, around the world, with a rising Iran, a rising Russia, and no dialogue, no effective dialogue with them, we're the ones in trouble.
How do you see, with your tremendous expertise, the president having this influence on the world stage right now? Because he is making changes that are shaking things up when it comes to Iran, when it comes to North Korea, where he is on Syria, where he's talking a tough game, but then he's also saying that he wants to bring U.S. troops home. How do you see his position on the world stage?
It's possible it's just completely incoherent. But on the other hand, to give them the benefit of the doubt, and I hope so with what's happening with North Korea, I hope this all ends very well. On Iran, the silver lining here is that even though supporters of the Iran deal here in Washington, and I certainly have been one of them, even though we like the aspects of it that dealt with Iran's nuclear program, in reality, it really wasn't working for anybody. Iranians were not getting the benefit, and it changed nothing in the U.S.-Iran relationship. So we had no better relationship. It was European firms going into Iran, Chinese firms going in. If we don't have the nuclear deal, we can start afresh. My concern is that Trump will not pursue negotiations with Iran to really start afresh to help the United States, and we will cede the table to Russia, China, and the Europeans.
Hillary, thank you so much.
Hillary, what a name. What a lovely, lovely, lovely name. That's the number right there for TV viewers. Like I said, I don't have no video switcher, nothing, no fancy equipment like that. That number for people listening on the podcast feed, that number 276-524-0307.
But yet there's more. The story that has been breaking tonight, including into this hour, is this document, this 7-page document that's just been released by the attorney for adult film actress Stormy Daniels. Michael?
I apologize, folks. That was autoplay. Good old YouTube. But, you know, I had it on CNN too, and that surely never helped. This is something that I wasn't even going to cover tonight. Because, listen, Stormy Daniels, do you think she's worth 5 minutes of subject matter on my broadcast? Do you really think that I'm going to go there? Give me a break, okay? I wouldn't give her 5 minutes on my show to tell me what supposedly. I ain't gonna say that but then again, I don't want to push these crazy accusations like the rest of the media. So yeah, I don't want nothing like that on my channel. I really don't. I don't even want to talk about her no more. But just to be fair, I don't want. Well, we might come back to this later because I had a lot. I wanted to go in a completely different direction, and yeah. They actually changed this from when I saw it yesterday. I was going to do this broadcast yesterday, by the way. That's usual. That happens a lot. You have U.S. withdrawals from Iran-nuclear deal. President Trump announces. And the agreement reached in 2015 by the U.S., the U.K., France, China, Russia, and Germany ease sanctions on Iran in exchange for Tehran limiting its nuclear weapons capabilities. I think the original post was a little bit different. This came from Twitter Moments. I think they actually changed that a little bit from when it was originally posted. It just don't look the same from when I saved it, and I think it's different today. Just between us, I'm not pushing no more conspiracy theories than what I must. But let me tell you something, they are out to get us. Just because you're paranoid, that don't mean they ain't out to get you, okay? We have Donald Trump tweeting, the Iran deal is defective at its core. If we do nothing, we know what will happen. In just a short time, the world's leading state sponsor of terror will be on the cusp of acquiring the world's most dangerous weapons, which they are already, folks. They probably already got nuclear weapons, just between me and you. Obviously, according to what Netanyahu put out last week, they know how to do it, and they've been at it for years. So I would think, thanks to Obama and Hillary and all them other people that I just mentioned, yeah, I would say that they've already got a nuclear weapon. Now, I'm not going to speculate as to, how far that they have, how capable they are of firing these missiles or weapons of mass destruction or whatever, but I guarantee you they have those. Here you have, this is from the New York Times. I think this came out yesterday. Yeah, May 8th. No, yep, yesterday. Well, day before yesterday, if you want to get technical, because it is 12:05 on the Eastern Seaboard. Tehran, the sentencing crisis in Iran runs deep and wide. The economy is in free fall. The currency is plummeting. I need. Where can I get it? Anyways. Yeah, we want to save that video because... Yeah, we want to save that video. We want to close that. We want to close that. Close that. Close that. Keep that. Keep that. Close that. Okay. Sorry. The sense of the crisis in Iran runs deep and wide. The economy is in free fall. The currency is plummeting. Rising prices are squeezing city dwellers. A 5-year drought is devastating the countryside. The pitched battle between the political moderates and hardliners is so perilous that there is even talk of military takeover. Now, the lifeline offered by the 2015 nuclear deal, which was supposed to advocate pressure on Iran's economy and crack open the barriers to the West, is falling apart. President Trump announced Tuesday that he was withdrawing the United States from the agreement, which he called a, quote, disastrous deal, end quote. The chief loser will be the country's moderate president, Hassan Rouhani. I think that's how you pronounce that. Turn it down just a little bit. Can you see that now? You still can't make out those letters, can you? Okay, who's Sonny? Where you at? Who now looks weakened and foolish and burned for the risk he took in dealing with the Americans. Those dirty Americans. Addressing the nation on live television after Mr. Trump's announcement, Mr. Rouhani said that Iran would take no immediate action to restart uranium enrichment and that it would negotiate with the other parties to the agreement: Britain, China, France, Germany, and Russia. If Iran's interest can be secured under the agreement, quote, we will continue the process, end quote, adding, quote, and if the deal is to be just a piece of paper, then our next steps will be clear. In other words, listen to what the president of Iran is telling you. And if the deal is just a piece of paper, that means if the deal don't mean nothing, then we know, then our next steps will be clear. You know, if the deal ain't no good, then what are they going to do? They're going to do what they've done for years, folks. They're going to continue to develop nuclear weapons as they have been doing for some time now. This is dangerous, folks. I don't even like talking about this stuff, okay? Quote, Trump has violated the international agreement by his predecessor, Obama, under the intrigues of the Israeli Prime Minister and Saudi Crown Prince bin Salman, end quote, said Allah Karam, a former Iranian ambassador to China and an advisor to the nuclear negotiating team. Quote, now he has played in the hands of hardliners in Iran, end quote. But in the long term, the unraveling of the nuclear agreement could be bad news for the entire Iranian leadership, already buffeted by mounting popular dissatisfaction over the economy and a lack of freedoms prospects. It could be bad news for average Iranians too. Quote, we will see more migration, more unemployment, more bankruptcies, more impoverishment. What it will, people will be more in poverty, I guess, is what that means. Like Iran is going to get poorer or something. Like the people in Iran is going to actually get poorer. I'd say that people in Iran don't have two nickels to rub together. Okay, folks, that's what I would say. I would say the only people that is well-to-do in Iran is the people in politics, the regime, maybe a few old tycoons, whatever, but maybe ISIS. They've obviously got a lot of taxpayer money in recent years. Just saying, you know, I hate to go there, but the truth is the truth. They've been over there fighting us with our own weapons, with our own vehicles. And we just sit there and pay taxes. We just keep paying taxes every day like big dummies. Folks, wake up, please. Just wake up. Just about that much, and that's all. I mean, take note of what's going on around you. Don't just, oh, buddy, I hate that, but whatever. Let's just go to work and pay some more taxes and da da da. Let's just keep sending people like John McCain and Mitch McConnell and Dianne Feinstein and who's some more good ones right there? Hank Johnson. Oh God, I don't even get me started on your politicians. Your politicians. Hey, we in piss poor shape for politicians. Okay, what we need to do when it comes to politicians, y'all need the ones that's going to vote, the ones that ain't going to run out there that's listening. Y'all need to vote. The ones that is going to run, y'all need to vote. But y'all need to vote for not politicians, but people, ordinary citizens like you and me. Okay, that's who you need to vote for. Don't let that experience fool you, folks. If you can add and subtract and put together pretty good sentences right there, then hey, you could be a congressman. Okay, you could be a senator. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. It don't take a whole lot of skill. Most of it's common sense. Hurt Americans bad. Help Americans good. What's so hard about that? Okay? Secure our borders. Protect our people. Protect our freedoms. Protect our rights. Make our economy thrive. What's so hard about that? Can you tell me? Instead, they have brainwashed a generation or two or three to be afraid to pick up a rifle and protect themselves. Okay, they're too afraid. Why? I might kill somebody, or I'd rather get killed than kill somebody. Are you serious, folks? Slaves are disarmed. Okay, that's what happens to slaves throughout history. You don't believe me? Look at your history. They disarmed the Jews. They disarmed the Indians. They disarm anybody, and then the ones they disarm, they kill. Okay, that's the final step. That's the top of the pyramid. That's where the sacrifices takes place. That's the end of the rabbit hole, and we don't want to go there. Okay. But whatever. This article just keeps going on and on and on and on, though. But let me tell you something. Obviously, I don't know what Obama and China and Russia and Germany and France and whoever was thinking when they let this agreement go through, this Iran deal. But they sure wasn't helping the people. They sure wasn't helping us. Obama gave them like $165 billion. Do you think that helped the people of Iran? Do you actually think that helped the Iranian people? Do you think that brought electricity or even more money to their pockets? It might have helped the regime. It might have helped the politicians. Pitiful, folks. It's pitiful. And we've reached our first hour of broadcasting. Anybody's out there listening in Radio Land and YouTube Land, you can call 276-524-0307. I would love to take your call. Tell me what you think about the Iran deal. Tell me what you think about the president going back on Obama's deal. I don't know. Just tell me something other. It don't matter. Whatever, Just call. Be like, hey man, what's up? Whatever.
Trump making the case for why the U.S. is withdrawing from the Iran nuclear deal. Leaders from UK, France, Russia, Iran are all vowing to stay in the deal despite Mr. Trump's announcement. So What does this mean for the administration's effort to broker a new deal? Joining us now is Andrew Peek, the State Department's Deputy Assistant Secretary for Iraq and Iran. Good to have you on, sir.
Thanks so much.
Now, let me jump topics just for 1 second because, frankly, it matters to me more in the moment. Do you have any information we can share with the audience about the chance that those Americans that are held in North Korea are going to come home with Mike Pompeo?
I don't. I'm sorry.
Is that because there is no development, or you're just being sensitive to the situation?
It's not my.
I'm the Iran official. I can't speak to the North Korean developments.
All right, I got you. Thanks. I wanted to ask because that matters. I get that it's being used as a little bit of a political device, and there's good and bad reason for that. But I just wanted to ask. Thank you for going on the record about it. All right, now back to what your bailiwick is. Why are my kids and Americans and their children more safe because of what the president just did?
Well, I think reimposing the sanctions that were lifted under the JCPOA allows us to better counter the totality of Iran's malign behavior in the region. Not just get to a place where we have better nuclear safeguards, but helpfully roll back Iran's support of terrorism, push back on its support of proxies, and reduce Iran's proliferation of missiles. All of these activities are contributing to a situation that's making the region less safe since the deal's been signed.
Understood. But if the concern is their other activities, why take away the protections that are in place right now against their arguably most dangerous potential, which is the nuclear deal? You have protections on that now. Why take those away in order to address their other nefarious activities in the region?
Well, because the problem with the nuclear deal, as the president laid out, was that it essentially decoupled the economic consequences from Iranian behavior, right? It broke that basic dialectic where the Iranians would act one way and the international community would effectively push back on that. It essentially cordoned off this huge part of the Iranian economy, whereas whatever else it did, it was essentially unsanctionable because of Iran's nuclear behavior. And so because of that, you saw Iranian behavior steadily get worse.
If you wanted to sanction them for their other behavior, non-nuke related, let's say, Tim Kaine says you had that authority. You were given it a year ago in the bundle sanctions for Iran, Russia, and North Korea. You could have sanctioned them for what they're doing in the region. You chose not to.
That's preposterous. We sanctioned about 7 times as many entities in 2017 as 2016. We
in
used
Iran?
Our sanctions, Iranian entities, yeah. We have used our sanctions authority aggressively to push back on Iranian influence. Our predisposition at this point is to push back on those activities. But the problem is there are entities that are essentially what I would consider dual use. They have ties to the nuclear sector, but also ties to, let us say, the IRGC. And worse than that, the nuclear deal actually, in effect, mandated a top line of investment in the Iranian economy, almost regardless of its other behavior. That's the decoupling that so concerns us.
If sanctions aren't enough, because Tim Kaine says you had the ability to sanction, you're saying you've sanctioned more than was ever done before in this regard. Then maybe
2016, yes.
Maybe then in 2016, then maybe President Trump was right back in 2011 when he tweeted that sanctioning Iran is not enough to stop them with their nuclear capabilities, or now, as an extension of that logic, or their nefarious activities in the region, that sanctions isn't enough.
Well, I think the president's right that we need a really comprehensive political and economic sanctions effort with our allies to combat Iran, to reduce Iran's malign influence. But I think if you look at where we are in 2013 with the crushing economic pressure on Iran, we saw that was effective, that the Iranians would bargain when that was applied. And so the idea is to reapply that and frankly get a better deal across the totality of Iranian behavior than what we eventually settled for in the JCPOA.
All right, so there are obstacles to that. The first one is that the other parties say they don't want to go along with you on it. They want to stay in this current deal, and that they're going to rework it with Iran themselves without the U.S. Does that concern you?
Look, this is an iterative process. This is kind of diplomacy 101. We have had about 2 decades of experience with secondary sanctions, that is, sanctions under entities not under U.S. jurisdiction. The best way to reduce foreign investment in Iran and designated entities and sectors of the Iran economy is by cajoling, encouraging, at times prodding. We're confident we're going to get there, and I think Rick Grinnell, our new ambassador to Germany, said the same thing just yesterday. We're going to reduce investment in Iran, in problematic entities, and its energy sector. It'll take some diplomacy.
Big part of the president's argument here is can't trust Iran. Iran's going to have nukes just around the corner, and they're not keeping the deal. The IAEA says that's not true. Secretary Mattis said in congressional testimony that that's not true. Is that a good basis to go into this move by having the president make statements about Iran's noncompliance that are contradicted by his own Secretary of Defense and by the monitoring agency involved?
Well, I'll let the Secretary of Defense do his own interviews. I'll say it is the administration's position that there were grave flaws in the JCPOA. The president was quite right.
Well, no,
for
not
example,
in the deal,
access
in the compliance. In the compliance,
well, for access to military sites. That was a gaping hole that we needed to see filled, and frankly, I think we're going to get to a place where we can do that.
But the IAEA says that they are in compliance with the deal as it stands. They have more monitoring. They have more eyes on the ground in Iran than we've ever had before.
But again, that's not sufficient because of the lack of access to the military sites, because of the sunset provisions, because of the lack of ICBM provisions. It was not a sufficient deal, even what we have.
So we heard the president cite Israeli intelligence as a basis of this understanding of what we have to worry about with Iran. No citing of U.S. intelligence and no echo effect from any of the other allies who have their own capable intelligence apparatuses. Nobody shares the opinion that the president put out there. Why?
The president's getting information from all U.S. intelligence agencies.
He only cited the Israeli intelligence, Bibi Netanyahu's case.
Again, I can tell you that the president's getting information from all U.S. and foreign intelligence agencies, all U.S. intelligence agencies and a range of foreign ones.
Why would the UK and France, Germany, other allies in the area, whether signatories or not, why would they not want to step up and affirm this? This is a threat to everybody, not just the United States.
Again, I can only repeat what I just said. I would defer comment on those countries, what they share publicly from their intelligence communities to them. I will say that the president's fully aware of the relevant information on the Iranian nuclear program.
So here's where it stands. Right now, until you get something better, assuming they can't salvage this deal among the remaining signatories in Iran, we have nothing. Should we be concerned?
Well, first of all, Iran's behavior across the spectrum concerns me every day. I mean, that's what I do for a living. I think that concerns many of our regional allies and many of our European allies as well.
Right, but freeing them from the current constraints doesn't make us more safe, unless you replace it with something better, right?
No, it certainly makes us more safe.
How so?
Look, this is going to be a cost-benefit decision and analysis at multiple iterative points in 3 months, and 6 months, and 12 months, going forward in the future. We have every confidence that by making this decision that we are imposing sufficient leverage to get Iran to reduce its activities, to put better pressure on Iran to get to a better place with regards to the balance of power in the region and Iran's nuclear activities.
But until you do that, we will be left with nothing if the remaining allies and signatories can't keep the deal intact.
No, we certainly wouldn't be left with nothing because Iran would be reducing its activities. I mean, this is the
How do you
entire
know that?
goal of. Well, if we see it, then we'll be positive about it.
Right, but I don't know. I understand your wait and see analysis. I'm saying in the instant situation that we're in, assuming they can't salvage the deal themselves, you would have no extra monitoring. You would have no extra checks on their nuclear capabilities until you put something else in place. That's just a matter of fact.
Well, that's not what the Iranians have said yet, right? They haven't said that that's where they're going. They've been ambiguous about that. Frankly, there's
got
still
people in the streets burning the American
still
flag and
signatories.
chanting death to the United States.
Well,
if what you're banking on
that's
is the good
nothing
faith
new.
of the
That's
Iranians
nothing new
that
in
you
the
just
last 24
did dirty
hours.
on the deal, that's a little bit of a specious premise, no?
Well, that's nothing new in the last 24 hours. The Iranians are burning flags and chanting death to America. I think, frankly, that's one of the reasons that any sort of good faith deal with the Iranians in 2015 was so problematic to take, on the face of it.
Well, that's why it wasn't based on good faith. It was actually based on bad faith. I remember that rhetoric at the time. A troubling situation. Appreciate you making the case, Mr. Peake. Very helpful to the audience. You're always welcome back.
Thanks so much.
Allison.
Okay.
Good old Chris Como. He's always on top of things. Thank God. Now let's get into the Mad Cow's accusations. Won't you look right there? Ain't that a pretty woman? I've never seen a woman with such a beautiful Adam's apple. Eyebrows, hairdo. She looks just like a little banny rooster up there, going to roost of evening and getting, crowing right before the sun goes down. Look at her. She's perched up there, got that beak stuck out. You see that? Hey, that's a chicken if I ever seen one. But let's listen to it.
But yet there's more. The story that has been breaking tonight, including into this hour, is this document, this 7-page document that's just been released by the attorney for adult film actress Stormy Daniels, Michael Avenatti. I should tell you that after releasing this document tonight, Mr. Avenatti is going to be on The Last Word with Lawrence O'Donnell next hour here on MSNBC, and you should probably plan to watch that. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I know that handsome lawyer. I've seen a lot of Michael Avenatti on TV. Every time I turn on the TV, there he is. Why would I be making sure to watch this guy tonight? Well, it's because of this document that he has just released. Mr. Avenatti put this out this afternoon, posted it online, and it was this standalone set of sort of jaw-dropping allegations about financial transactions involving the president's lawyer, Michael Cohen. Mr. Avenatti did not release any supporting documentation or information to go along with this thing that he posted online. And so initially, I'm not sure anybody in the news business knew exactly what to make of sort of wild and surprising allegations he's making here. It's hard to know what to do with it without any backup. But now, over the course of the last couple of hours, both the New York Times and NBC News have reported that they, too, have obtained and reviewed original financial documents that substantiate what Michael Avenatti is saying. And so now we've got some actual news here. It's about the company that Michael Cohen used, the president's lawyer used, to pay off Stormy Daniels right before the election, so she would not speak publicly about her alleged affair with the president. We learned a few months ago from reporting first in the Wall Street Journal that Michael Cohen didn't just pay Stormy Daniels directly. He created a company called Essential Consultants. And then Essential Consultants was the entity that paid $130,000 to Ms. Daniels. What we've learned tonight from this document that was first released by Mr. Avenatti, it's been subsequently reported out by the New York Times and other news organizations, is that this little company that Michael Cohen set up to pay Stormy Daniels, Essential Consultants, LLC, it appears to have been used for a whole lot more than just paying $130,000 to Stormy Daniels. Essential Consultants also appears to have paid Michael Cohen more than $1 million. According to Mr. Avenatti's document, 3 checks from Essential Consultants, 2 for $250,000, 1 for $505,000, were deposited in Mr. Cohen's own bank account last summer, the summer of 2017. And what that looks like is this little company he set up, Essential Consultants, paying Michael Cohen more than $1 million. That's what it looks like. Of course, that raises more questions. First, was Michael Cohen ultimately the recipient of that $1 million, or was he depositing those checks and getting that money for someone else? So we don't exactly know what happened to the money ultimately. We just know that Michael Cohen put it in one of his own bank accounts. But also, where'd that money come from? Where did Essential Consultants get $1 million freaking bucks? Right? Michael Cohen, didn't he say he needed to take out a home equity line of credit just to scratch up the $130,000 that company was going to pay Stormy Daniels just a few months before? He had to take a home equity line to get $130,000. Well, then where'd that same company get $1 million to pay Michael Cohen just a few months later last summer? Well, that's where we get to the juicy part. According to these documents released by Mr. Avenatti tonight, this same company that Michael Cohen used to pay Stormy Daniels, Essential Consultants LLC, they took in a lot of money from a lot of surprising places. They got paid $150,000 by Korea Aerospace Industries last November 2017. Okay. Essential Consultants also reportedly got paid $200,000 in 4 installments, 4 separate payments of $50,000 each in late 2017 and early 2018. That $200,000 in 4 separate payments came from a little company you might have heard of, AT&T. Essential Consultants also got paid $400,000 by Novartis, the global pharmaceutical company. According to these documents, the way Novartis paid, this is interesting, it was 4 separate payments to Essential Consultants, to this little company Michael Cohen set up, which paid off the porn star. Novartis Pharmaceuticals paid $20 less than $100,000. They paid $99,980 on October 5th, again on November 3rd, again on December 1st, and then again on January 5th, 2018 this year. So 4 payments, each for just under $100,000, almost as if there was a $20 wire fee that Novartis was deducting from what Mr. Cohen got to take. And Mr. Avenatti notes, and it's true, right after that last payment from Novartis in January 2018, President Trump did have dinner with the CEO of Novartis before his speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos. What was Novartis paying for? But there's one more payment, and the other payment is the one that gets the front page headline in the New York Times tonight. Firm tied to Russian oligarch made payments to Michael Cohen. All right, here's how it's presented in Avenatti's documents. Chief among the suspicious financial transactions involving Essential Consultants LLC are approximately $500,000 in payments received from Mr. Victor Vekselberg, a Russian oligarch with an estimated net worth of nearly $13 billion. Mr. Vekselberg and his cousin, Andrew Intrater, routed 8 payments to Michael Cohen, to Essential Consultants LLC, through a company called Columbus Nova, beginning in January 2017 and continuing until at least August 2017. Columbus Nova is a private equity firm with over $2 billion in assets. Andrew Intrater is the CEO of Columbus Nova. Columbus Nova is the U.S. investment vehicle for Renova Group, which is a multinational company controlled by Victor Vekselberg. Okay, so Michael Cohen, president's lawyer, with a background in, the taxi business, sets up this little Delaware shell company as a way of paying the porn star, paying Stormy Daniels that $130,000 right before the election. He says publicly that to come up with that $130,000 to pay Stormy Daniels, he had to take out a home equity line of credit. A new lawyer for the president, Rudy Giuliani, now says that ultimately that $130,000 was slowly reimbursed to Mr. Cohen over a period of months when the president paid Michael Cohen $35,000 a month over time during 2017. Well, we now find out that that little company that paid out the $130,000 to Stormy Daniels, apparently causing significant financial hardship to Michael Cohen, that little company also paid Michael Cohen over $1 million. And tons more money was being paid into that company. Not by Michael Cohen's home equity loan, but by AT&T. AT&T, Korea Aerospace, Novartis Pharmaceuticals, and an investment fund tied to one of the richest men in Russia. Viktor Vekselberg is an oligarch. He is one of the original oligarchs. He is one of the richest men in Russia. He is considered to be close to Vladimir Putin. He was sanctioned last month by the U.S. government because of his links to Putin, as was his company, Renova. Now, the firm that apparently paid Michael Cohen $500,000 and landed itself on the front page of the New York Times right now, it's a private equity firm that used to call itself on its website, the U.S. investment vehicle for the Renova Group. They have since dropped that description on their website now that Renova Group and its founder, Viktor Vekselberg, have been sanctioned by the U.S. government. It's now illegal for anybody in the U.S. to do business with Viktor Vekselberg or the U.S. or the Renova Group, so nobody would want to advertise themselves as the U.S. investment vehicle for that group. Right? We learned last week that Viktor Vekselberg was stopped by federal agents working for Robert Mueller and his investigators as he landed in a private plane at a New York area airport sometime in the past couple of months. Mueller's team reportedly questioned Mr. Vekselberg, including, it's being reported tonight, about these payments to Michael Cohen. It's also been reported that investigators asked to search Mr. Vekselberg's electronic devices, but we don't know if they actually did so. We only know they asked. Now, tonight we're getting statements from some of the companies mentioned in this document as allegedly giving funds to Michael Cohen, paying into Essential Consultants, LLC. A spokesman for Columbus Nova, which is the U.S. affiliate of Vekselberg's company Renova, had this to say, quote, Columbus Nova is a management company solely owned and controlled by Americans. After the inauguration, the firm hired Michael Cohen as a business consultant regarding potential sources of capital and potential investments in real estate and other ventures. Reports today that Viktor Vekselberg used Columbus Nova as a conduit for payments to Michael Cohen are false. The claim that Viktor Vekselberg was involved or provided any funding for Columbus Nova's engagement with Mr. Cohen is patently untrue. Neither Viktor Vekselberg nor anyone else other than Columbus Nova's owners were involved in the decision to hire Michael Cohen or provided funding for his engagement. Now, I mentioned that the giant telecom company AT&T also reportedly paid $200,000 to Essential Consultants, LLC. They released this statement tonight. Quote, Essential Consulting was one of several firms we engaged in early 2017 to provide insights into understanding the new administration. They did no legal or lobbying work for us, and the contract ended in December 2017. Now, a couple of things are interesting about that. First of all, AT&T is hiring Essential Consulting to provide insights into understanding the new administration. As far as we know, Essential Consulting is just Michael Cohen. When they say they did no legal or lobbying work for us, I don't know who they is, unless they consider Michael and Cohen to be two different people. But AT&T is saying they needed to hire this firm, Michael Cohen's weird little shell company that pays porn stars. They needed to hire them for multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars to get insights. Now, why would AT&T want to put Michael Cohen on the freaking payroll in 2017? Well, I mean, they've got important government business, right? They're trying to go through this big merger with Time Warner. They had very strong interest in the net neutrality matter. Right. Finally, we got what I consider to be a surprising statement from Novartis, from the pharmaceutical company. A spokesman for the pharmaceutical company did not take the same tack as AT&T and Columbus Nova took here, saying, no, nothing to see here, nothing's weird here, this was a normal business / not really lobbying relationship. This is what Novartis says, quote, any agreements with Essential Consultants were entered before our current CEO taking office in February of this year and have expired. Oh, right. Different kind of statement. Not a denial that any such agreement was entered into, not a defense of any such agreement, just throwing their former CEO under the bus, saying, wasn't us, it was definitely the people who were here before us. Noting for the record, any such payments were made not by its current leadership. I have to say, the other thing that we should tell you right now in terms of the Russia investigation is that Alex Venders won, the lawyer from the Dutch lawyer working in Britain on behalf of the American law firm who's lying to FBI. Alex Vanderswan is the first person who has been convicted or has pled guilty in the Mueller investigation who has gone to prison. Mr. Vanderswan reported to federal prison yesterday to start serving his 30-day sentence. The question is, with these new revelations about Michael Cohen, the linking of the Stormy Daniels payment through this shell company to somebody who has been questioned in the Mueller investigation and indeed is a sanctioned Russian individual running a big sanctioned Russian company, raises the question of whether there's new criminal liability here in these revelations about Michael Cohen, or whether this is just decorative financial information that fleshes out the picture more than we knew. Joining us now is Joyce Vance. She's a former U.S. attorney from the great state of Alabama, and she's here in person tonight, which is a treat. Joyce, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I never know what I'm going to end up talking to you about. We book you to talk about something, and then the news changes.
Unpredictable.
Yeah. As a former prosecutor, looking at information like this about these previously unknown uses of this shell company that was used to funnel this payment to this adult film actress, how would you read this with prosecutors' mind?
So the first thing that I want to know when I see this document is a lot more about the facts, because the minute details of the facts will determine whether any of this conduct was criminal. We immediately, it's so easy to leap to conclusions in these situations, and this just stinks of influence peddling, of what prosecutors call pay to play, or what the federal statute calls bribery. But without knowing more details about who was paid, when they were paid, what circumstances surrounded the payments, did money actually reach Trump ever? Or were these perhaps just the sort of payments people make that smell bad but aren't really illegal? We can't tell without more factual determination.
When you say money reaching Trump, I mean, obviously that's one of the first thing that leaps to mind here.
Right.
At least the official story that's been told about the payment to Stormy Daniels is that this company, Essential Consultants LLC, was used to funnel Mr. Trump's money through a sort of roundabout way to Ms. Daniels. If money is also flowing into this company, that does raise the question as to whether or not the ultimate recipient of that money is not just Michael Cohen, who's the person who registered the company, but potentially could be the president himself.
It raises that, Rachel, but again, it's so dangerous to leap to those conclusions. Bob Mueller and his team are certainly 5 or 10 steps ahead of everyone else on these issues. And it actually worries me a little bit. My prosecutor DNA doesn't like to see these sort of details that should be held closely within an investigation leaking out into the public. They could certainly, if the Mueller investigation is still in progress on some of these fronts, particularly involving the Russians, they could trigger awareness on the part of people who are under investigation. And these sort of banking details, it's really very surprising to see them becoming public. These are details that prosecutors would subpoena. I've not seen this sort of information be public domain before. So there are a lot of questions in my mind about where does this information come from? Is it accurate? What conclusions can we reach? But at the end of the day, like Watergate, this is follow the money.
Yeah, and I have to say, on that issue of where this information is coming from, we've seen initially from the Wall Street Journal and subsequently from some other news outlets, there has been interesting reporting about the finances surrounding Essential Consultants, surrounding Mr. Cohen, stuff that I've been surprised to see make it into the public domain. Before the New York Times and NBC News confirmed that they had seen financial documents that backed this stuff up, I would have had no idea what to do with.
I'm just going to pull the plug on Mad Cow. I'm tired of listening to her. Let's get on with this. Let's get it on. Can y'all see that? 4 women accused New York's Attorney General of physical abuse. Eric Schneiderman has raised his profile as a voice against sexual misconduct. Now, after suing Harvey Weinstein, he faces a hashtag #MeToo reckoning of his own. Yeah. That's from the New Yorker. I'm not going to read that because I mean, I hate to see these women, you know, put in these situations and bothered and all this. I really do, but this is a long article. If you want to check it out, go to NewYorker.com and I'm sure you'll find it. Or just search New York Attorney General, the New Yorker. But yeah. 3 hours after the publication of this story, Snyderman resigned from his position. Quote, "While these allegations are unrelated to my professional conduct or the operations of the office, they will effectively prevent me from leading the office's work at this critical time," end quote, he said in a statement. Going on to say, I therefore resign my office effective at the close of business on May 8, 2018. I don't know who the new Attorney General is or will be. Let's see. It's from Box. NYAG Eric Snyderman resigned. What's next? They don't know, apparently. So, neither do we. Whatever, let's go on. Oh yeah, speaking of Stormy Leathery Daniels, she actually is being accused of, she's been accused on social media of sporting NXIVM sex cult scar. This comes from InfoWars, of all places, wouldn't you know it. Here's a tattoo. You can't make out exactly which body part the tattoo is on. I actually think that's her snatch. That's exactly what that is. And there is the supposed scar, which is, it looks like a brand. It's like an A. It's got a line on top, and it's got like a lightning bolt on the bottom under the horizontal mark of the A. But I never knew what this that's exactly where it's at, folks. It's on her stomach. Here you can see it a little bit better. But yeah, this is the kind of thing that they're into. And I mean, to be a porn star, that's a little bit lower than being a prostitute, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. You have to do what you have to do to feed your family, your children, whatever. But it's just sick. It's okay what these people do and get paid for is really sick. just not. She's not pretty. She's not worth $130,000. Yeah. Meanwhile, here you have how all these other countries reacted to Trump deciding to pull out of the Iran nuclear deal. How did Iranians react to Trump's decision on the nuclear deal? This comes from Al-Jazeera.com. Hassan Rouhani, Iran's president, has vowed to save the nuclear deal, even without the U.S., but not all Iranians support his plan. Minutes after the U.S. pulled out of the 2015 nuclear deal, Iran's President Hassan Rouhani said the U.S. had once more proved itself to be an unreliable negotiating partner. Newspaper headlines show disagreements on how Iran should respond. Moderates want the deal to go on without Trump, but hardliners stress the deal should be completely scrapped. Both sides are bracing for an economic impact. Here's what Europe had to say. The EU, whatever. You see Teresa, I think that's Teresa May. No, it's Angela Merkel. And I don't know who that gentleman is with her. Europe's fury over Trump's Iran decision explained in one word. Unisolationism. I'm not entirely sure what that means. As a matter of fact, let's find out, shall we? Isolationism. Yeah. Okay, I see. I'm sorry. A policy of remaining apart from the affairs or interest of other groups, especially the political affairs of other countries. Yeah, that's what Trump is. He has a policy of remaining apart from the affairs or interest of other groups, especially the political affairs in other countries. He don't want Iran to be able to blow up places like Europe or France or Germany or China or just anywhere. But the EU leaders, they do. They all want war. Okay, folks. Jesus said it best. You shall know them by their fruits. Okay. This is from the Washington Post. Trump scuttles Iran nuclear deal, but offers no plan for what comes next. Yep, that's Trump for you. This is the world according to the Evening Standard. Iran nuclear deal. As it happened, world reacts after Donald Trump pulls out of JPCOA. This is a video. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and check it out. You want to?
My fellow Americans, today I want to update the world on our efforts to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. The Iranian regime is the leading state sponsor of terror. It exports dangerous missiles, fuels conflicts across the Middle East, and supports terrorist proxies and militias such as Hezbollah, Hamas, the Taliban, and Al-Qaeda. Matters worse, the deal's inspection provisions lack adequate mechanisms. In just a short period of time, the world's leading state sponsor of terror will be on the cusp of acquiring the world's most dangerous weapons. Therefore, I am announcing today that the United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal. In a few moments, I will sign a presidential memorandum to begin reinstating U.S. nuclear sanctions on the Iranian regime.
Boo-hoo. Emily Thornberry blast reckless, senseless, and immoral act. How does she know? And here you have her on Twitter saying the whole world should condemn this reckless, senseless, immoral, or diplomatic sabotage. My response to Trump's Iran speech. Here you have Benjamin Netanyahu tweeting, Israel fully supports @real Donald Trump's bold decision today to reject the disastrous nuclear deal with the terrorist regime in Tehran. The deal didn't push war further away, it actually brought it closer. The deal didn't reduce Iran's aggression, it dramatically increased it. Duh. And then, of course, I think it was today, you had Israel attacking a place in Damascus, a place just outside of Damascus. It must have been one of the places that they had they knew that that's one of their nuclear facilities, or where they were developing nuclear weapons. I don't know. It's getting late, folks. But Syria blames Israel for strike near Damascus. Target was Iranian missiles. Target was Iranian missiles aimed at Israel. Here you have a picture from that attack. Or you did have until it left. And then you have them burning flags in the burning U.S. flags in the Iranian parliament, might I add. Look at that. Can y'all see that right there? That's where I got the cover photo for this 74th episode. Here you have NBC News tweeting it out. I'm sure they love the sight of this. But not only do we have it going on, overseas, we have this going on at colleges all across our country. And it's just done just like, it's something that's, totally normal. It's an everyday thing. Everybody burns U.S. flags. No big deal. People didn't die, so we could have a American flag and da-di-da-di-da, and we ain't run by central banks who totally live off of our tax money. Nothing like that. No. Check this out. Two shouts of death to America. Iranian lawmakers set fire to a paper stars and stripes inside the nation's parliament.
اگر اروپا و کشورهای مهم مثل روسیه و چین این خلأ بین المللی را پر کنند شاید راهی برای ادامه مسیر باشد در غیر این صورت جمهوری اسلامی
Hold on, let me back this video up and I'll read this to you.
در غیر این صورت جمهوری اسلامی بین المللی و کشورها
If Europe and important countries like Russia and China fill this international vacuum, perhaps there will be a way to continue.
باشد.
Otherwise, the Islamic Republic of Iran
غیر این صورت جمهوری اسلامی با اقدامات هسته‌ای خود ایشان را
will bring them, the U.S., to their senses with its nuclear actions.
عقل می‌آورد.
Whatever. I don't like the sound of that. Can't make me like that. Firm tied to Russian oligarch made payments to Michael Cohen. That was a little something that I was going to share with y'all. Anyway, I didn't know that was the same thing that Mad Cow was talking about right then. I apologize. Meanwhile, you have Democratic Representative Clark saying if GOP had its way, health care would have been unattainable for millions of Americans. Yeah. It's a little 4-minute video. We won't even watch it. You can...
May 4th is the one-year anniversary of the House Republicans' vote to repeal the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah. And you have Trump signing executive order boosting military spouse employment. That is also news. That coming from the Daily Caller. The other day, I think it was last Wednesday, National Guard military plane crash, airport in Georgia. That's about it for the news. I guess. But I want y'all out there to be highly aware of the information that you take in on a daily basis. I want you to be highly aware of it. Don't believe anything that you hear, and don't believe half of what you see. And that's about the best advice I can give y'all. I'm sorry I didn't spend more time on that little subject. My time is limited, and unlike normal radio shows or more professional podcasts, I don't get a commercial break. I don't get to go to the bathroom when I need to. I don't get none of that, folks. Which I'm not crying and bitching and complaining, but I'm just saying, sit here for 3 hours and talk to y'all and tell y'all about all this. It's hard, okay? It's hard, but I do it. And we've went about 2 hours tonight. We've covered a lot. We've mostly talked about Iran and CNN and Mad Cow and Chris Como. Interesting interview with Chris Como and Roger Stone the other day. By the way, that I think that's up on my YouTube channel. it was if it didn't get taken down. But yeah, go to the channel and subscribe. Hit the like button. If you don't like it, just go to something else. Watch something that suits you. Whatever, I don't blame you really, but I mean, hey, it's gonna get better. We're gonna keep expanding. Yeah, I'd love to have a reporter, even to have a small camera crew, even. Like I said, the sky's the limit. With your support, especially, we can move mountains. Okay, I truly believe that. Y'all say your prayers tonight before you go to sleep. Be sure to. I'll be praying for all of you. And God bless y'all. Thanks for tuning in. I love y'all. Give a shout out to people who've been listening in Germany. Let me see here. I had it. 50% of our podcast listeners have been in the United States. 16.67 in France. 8.33% in Germany. 16.67% in Finland. That's all. We've had 37.5% listing in Los Angeles, California. 12.5% listening in Omaha, Nebraska. 12.5% listening in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And some listeners in Ouistreham, France. I think that's how you pronounce it. Ashburn, Virginia. Paris, France. Hey, we got it going on. It's great. Thanks for doing everything that y'all been doing. Do a little more if you can. Tell your friends and your family to get on board. If y'all got any news tips, anything that you think that I should cover, and anything that you feel that I may not know about, because I'm just one man, and one person can just do so much. Hey, email me, the AlexMorganShow@gmail, FreedomInternetRadio@gmail, AlexMorgan9183@gmail. Those are the emails that I use on a regular basis. Yeah. I don't know. I guess that's about it, folks. I love y'all. Thanks for listening. Thanks for everything. Thanks for the YouTube views. Hey, France, Finland, Germany, LA, California knows how to party. Omaha, my neighbor to the west, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Hey, love y'all. France, I love you. Ashburn, Virginia, I love you. Keep it up. Good night. Peace out.